The Pistons are the basketball champions of the world.
Detroit, it's time. It's playoff time, Detroit. Let's go to work.
Shout out Detroit. I got to buff up, you know what I'm saying? Detroit, I'm all the way in. Detroit Pistons, I'm all the way in. Let's do it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Buffs On Podcast. We are the best POD in the 313, and we are still alive. The Pistons winning last night inside Madison Square Garden to extend the series to 3-2. We got Game 6 tomorrow. We are recording this on a Wednesday afternoon. We're going to touch on some of the things that we saw in the game yesterday that we think helped led to the Pistons victory. And then we're going to touch on some things that we think the Pistons are going to need to do in order to not only extend the series, but potentially complete the comeback. Gabe and Valley, you guys are first on my screen. Valley, you're even closer to first on my screen. What is something you saw yesterday that you think helped propel the Pistons to a emphatic, I wouldn't even say emphatic, but to a much needed Game 5 victory?
Yeah, I think one thing that the Detroit Pistons did really well was eliminating periods of time where they have these lulls, these 2 to 3 minute stretches where they're really, really just poor on both sides of the basketball. And a guy I want to credit to why that didn't happen today or yesterday for the Detroit Pistons is Tobias Harris. I specifically note the Pistons down 27-22 before Tobias Harris scored, I believe, 7 of our next 9 points. He was 3 for 5 from deep. He's in Karl-Anthony Towns' head officially. And just constantly providing a great presence to us. He's scoring through all 4 quarters, consistently getting us buckets, being a threat as the almost like the extra pass ends up to Tobias a lot, and he hits that 3. Both of his corner threes were like that in the first half in that Game 5. But I think just overall what you're getting from Tobias Harris, you're not expecting 2 steals and 4 blocks. You're not expecting a guy who turns it up in the playoffs now. But that's what Tobias Harris has become. And I think like a perfect way that you can see the role he has on this team is after the game when the Pistons media is posting their videos, but Pistons won again. And just his attitude that he has. I don't know if you guys know what I'm referring to, but the way
I do. Play my song.
Play my song. He's a real uncle, dude. And I think he just, again, I mentioned in our last podcast that we just recorded, me, Gabe, and Connie, that like the veteran presence, the veterans are doing what they need to do, and Tobias Harris really encapsulates that. And I think no chance we're even near where we are without Tobias Harris' impact on this team in the playoffs. He has hands down been the second best player in the playoffs for the Detroit Pistons, and that money we spent on Tobias Harris is looking a lot less foolish now.
Sure is. Gabe, your thoughts on Unk?
Yeah, he's been consistent, extremely consistent. He had one bad scoring game. That's fine. It happens in the playoffs, but his defense on Cat has been astounding, honestly. I did not expect him to be able to hold up this much.
I would say series-saving stopper.
Series-saving stops. He blocked his turnaround somehow at one point.
Yeah.
He also got elbowed in the neck and then called for a foul on that one, which was also a bit strange call. The rest,
and it was upheld after a review, which is
upheld
crazy.
after review, and then we got an instant tech on JB. But the rest were calling this one tighter, and I think the players adjusted. Towns had a huge scratch on him at one point, but I feel like Tobias Harris wasn't as handsy. Ausar wasn't as handsy, and that's the other guy who I think was just magical last night was Ausar Thompson. He just seemed to be everywhere on the court. Every time they'd had a layup, he'd just fly out of there and block it. Or he'd just magically be in the right spot, dunking the ball. Fan of the pod, friend of the pod, Mike, every time Ausar would move, he'd be like, do you see how he moves? Do you see how fast he was? He just seemed to be everywhere. Brunson didn't have an inch to breathe last night. And they made him pay on the other end because Brunson could not stop Ausar in that dunker spot. We were passing the ball. We didn't have stupid turnovers. And it was just overall, I think the cleanest game we've played, led by Ausar, Tobias Harris, and personally Jalen Duren. Cade, I thought, had a good game, but he just, he wasn't efficient. But in the end, when it mattered most, he hit those clutch shots. He made the right play over and over again without turning the ball over a crazy amount of times. So those are the big 4 for me that really You know, the big three, I'd say Duran, Toby, and Asar played really well last night.
They sure did. And we've talked about ever since Osar was drafted how great he is at finding open space and cutting. It's nice to see that's finally happening when especially when they double Cade and Cade has to hit Duran on the short roll and then Duran can just dump one deeper down to Asar. We saw that a couple of times last night. We even saw a play when Duran was in foul trouble where Asar was kind of manning that 5-man spot in the pick and roll and made a nice play out of the short roll. So Connie, your thoughts on the win yesterday?
I mean, I thought it was an outstanding Star game. I felt like that was almost a byproduct of the Pistons figuring out the Knicks pick and roll defense a little bit.
Yeah.
There was much less like, oh shit, like from Cade when the double comes, like, oh shit, I got to get off this ball. It was more like when the double comes, I'm hitting a low pass to Duran, and Duran consistently with that little shovel underhand to Asar. I think that was really just like a systematic sort of figuring out of the defense that they were running, especially when Towns was out there. They were really taking advantage of him on that end. I mean, Uncle T was great. He was playing with some real energy. Like Valley said, he had that quick burst of points, like right after Jalen Turns smashed him in the head and he went down. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but when you're playing basketball and you get like an injury that's not like an injury, like it's not like you messed up your knee or something, but like you get hit in some way, it almost like turns you on. Like the adrenaline gets going and like you get like a real nice flow going because of it. And it seemed like that. He was playing on young legs. He had that one huge chase down block, which was not a block. He absolutely Mikal
We don't
Bridges.
talk about that on this pod.
But I don't care. He came down the other end and he got that done. I mean, Asar Thompson was also crazy. I mean, just being in that dunker spot, being in the spot, but also 12 free throws. I mean, he went 6 for 12, which isn't great, but just forcing fouls, forcing guys getting into trouble and getting into the bonus. We were in the bonus really early for a large, I think 3 out of the 4 quarters.
Not
We
being
were there
scared of
for
Mitchell Robinson. He was going right. He was trying to go right over him every time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was great. And I thought Cade, like efficiency is not great, but again, he played like I think a very smart game. Where he was finding those drop-off passes. He had like, I mean, he had 8 assists, but you give him 8 more hockey assists with the pass passes to a score that were happening. And I mean, oh no, the guys just played really hard. We didn't get the great shooting. We have yet to have a great shooting game in this whole series. But just playing absolutely hard as hell, which is what I think the key to this whole thing is. Man, what a fun one.
The team had to fight for sure yesterday. Was and another thing the Pistons did even late in the game, they had Tim Hardaway Jr. coming up and setting screens for Cade instead of Jalen Duren, so that Jalen Brunson was forced to switch on to Cade. Cade didn't wait for the trap; he just attacked straight out of the pick. Got a foul on Brunson at least once, maybe twice.
Could have been more. Brunson, when he hedges, he hits Cade pretty hard.
Yeah, probably more. Yeah. So it's nice to see JB Bickerstaff kind of, exploiting the size mismatch there. And I'm sure we're gonna see a lot more of that in game 6. Especially, Brunson turning his ankle again late in the game yesterday. Josh Hart also turning his ankle late in the game last night. So I'm curious to see how they come out and play. I mean, I don't know what they do in the New York locker room because these guys will be hurt and then they'll go back there and then they'll come back and they're like fine. So I don't know what's going on back there. We'll have to find out, but it's gonna be interesting to see how
yeah. Painkiller. I'm dead serious. They're
Yeah.
shooting these guys up with painkillers to get them out for the second half of that game.
Yeah, for sure. So it'll be interesting to see how the Pistons attack those guys tomorrow night at Little Caesars Arena. What else you guys want to touch on after yesterday's game? Because I feel like there's a lot to draw
Yeah.
on.
I mean, after the Brunson ankle turn that game, the whole offense seemed to switch down the stretch there, where it was like, attack this dude as much as we possibly can. And they did that with the SAR too in the post a couple times. Did like you said, a lot with the Cade switch, because like a painkiller can kill pain and you can like not feel what's going on down there, but you're still not able to produce the same like action and the same force as a healthy limb. And like it or not, you feel it or not, you are just moving a step slow. And for a guy like Brunson, who's already like a short
He's
guy,
already a step slow.
yeah, could be a defensive who's already a defensive target. It really opens him up to be a guy to attack. And I mean, that was awesome. I love that they just like assaulted him down the stretch.
Yeah, and it feels like the team is just getting more comfortable with, this environment and just like, I don't know. Did you guys see what Jalen Duren said to Jalen Brunson after Brunson bumped into him and drew a foul?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it just feels like the guys are understanding, more and starting to gain more confidence. Like that's how you're talking in a game where your season's potentially on the line. It shows like you understand what the circumstances are and you understand what uh you're capable of and how your team can still take down this team. Gabe and Valley, your thoughts? Anything else you guys want to touch on from yesterday?
Yeah, you mentioned one thing real quick. I want to ask you guys about how do you feel about the small ball lineup? We want to start the five for a little bit.
I did like
You
that.
like the look? We were super fast. Of course,
Switch everything.
Mitchell Robinson.
Tobias has been
Yeah,
switched on to Jalen Brunson a few times in the series,
it was
and
good.
he's held his own. He switched on to OG yesterday and made a really nice contest, but OG was a Cade like long arm like sweeper hook shot that went through. So I mean it's difficult because the Knicks are probably going to continue to do the double big lineup against us, but if we can force some misses with that small ball lineup and get out and running again, it's going to be very hard for the Knicks to stop.
Yeah, I thought they held up pretty. Like, I mean, obviously there were some rebounds that they got, but I thought they held up pretty well on the boards against Towns and Mitchell. Like really fighting down there, like a bunch of guys going for not only the box out, but to just get the tip, get a hand on it so that they could get a clean rebound, and then just fighting for the loose ball after that. I was really impressed with what they were doing.
Shout out Paul Reed.
I was gonna ask you guys, how do you guys feel about Paul Reed? Because
I love it.
Indecisive right now.
I love
He's
it.
such a wild card. Like he genuinely is. Like he might be more of a wild card than Ron Holland at this point. His defensive, like his knack to just get steals, like we saw it in random moments where he would just get random steals in garbage time of games. But like it's weird to still see him get 4 in a playoff game.
I can think of 2 off the top of my head yesterday that were like momentum shifting
Huge
plays.
ones. Yeah, like
He stripped
one where
Mitchell Robinson up top when Mitchell wasn't paying any attention to him. I mean, if they want to have Mitchell Robinson handle the ball up top on DHOs, let Paul Reed go poke the ball away.
Yeah.
I love how on every screen that Paul Reed is involved in, he hedges so hard and just tries to poke the ball away and then
Every
somehow
time.
hustles and gets back to his man.
Yeah, I think that's so on the money, and I think he just gives you good minutes overall. He's a little out of control, it seems like sometimes, but I really
Yeah.
think he gives you just, in a weird way, similar minutes to Ron, where like he'll play hard as hell and he'll come up with like some loose balls and maybe a couple of buckets, but
And that one
he's
poke away where the
truly
ball was like
dominating.
just being batted around and it was gonna get down low to Mitchell Robinson for an easy dunk, but he got his hand in there and pushed the ball back the other way. So shout out Paul Reed. And he
I was
posted on
I was
Twitter
incredibly
like
concerned. Sorry,
no, you're good. Go ahead.
after Paul Reed picked up that technical foul for I'm not sure what he did. I
Existed.
don't
That's
even
what
know
he
if there
did.
was a foul there. I thought there were a lot of like I was like, oh shit, I'm a little worried. The Cade one that was called an offensive foul when he was shooting off Josh
Hart. Yeah. I mean,
which
even the one
Hart
down
does
low where
every single
Brunson grabbed his
possession.
arm and flailed backwards and got another call. And those are 2 unnecessary calls on Cade that hindered his playing time in the first half.
So that technical, I'm just thinking first half, the Cade I think definitely should have had an N1 on Josh Hart, who had a blocking foul really early in that game. Just I was really concerned with the way that whistle was going early in the game, but I'm really happy that we were able to stay collected, like that technical on Paul Reed, I think is just complete bogus. Like what's going on? There was a foul Duren had on Karl Anthony Towns. I don't know if
He
you were
just
able to
shoved him a
see that.
little bit. Like,
Yeah, maybe a slight forearm, but like a
it was a
foul.
shiv, but like it shouldn't have been a foul.
So I'm really proud of our guys the way they rallied around the officiating and were able to still put together a really solid game. And like Buffson predicted, Cade did shoot double-digit free throws, so on the money with that one.
Gabe, your thoughts?
Yeah, exactly. I thought because the refs were calling a tighter game. We like I said, instead of overplaying on defense, we adjusted, and then second half we just kept attacking the rim, and then we got to the line. You mentioned Asar's 12, or maybe it was Connie. Kate got to the line a lot. Ron got to the line a few times, right? It's just when the ref is calling the game a certain way, it's gonna even out eventually over the series, except that one call, of course. But you just keep attacking. If they get to the line, we're gonna get to the line. It was just a smarter game, and if we just compare it to the two losses we had, where we just made silly mistakes, some things, we just kind of turned off the drive a little bit for like 3 minutes, and then that's how you lose the game. This game was 100% from start to end. I thought it was a really well played game. I just enjoyed this to watch this game. There wasn't too many antics. It was good basketball all around, tough shots made all around.
Mm-hmm.
A fun game to watch, and of course, we come out with the win, which is most.
Yeah.
How about
Go ahead.
I'm just saying overall, I mean, I guess most credit goes to Asar, but obviously we don't win this game unless Jalen Brunson shoots 4 for 16. Like an incredible job on Brunson. I think we did just overall a great job of containing him. I love the looks we're throwing him off the screen. I think we're really doing a great job of just throwing bodies in front of Jalen Brunson and making it difficult for him. I think sometimes we kind of over collapse in that cross court pass to the corners on, but I think overall our defense on Brunson has just been next level overall, and I think we finally got to see the benefit of it in Game 5.
So shout out Kuka Hill for this. Jalen Brunson, when Asar Thompson was guarding him last night, 11 points, 3 for 14 shooting, 2 turnovers. And then prior to yesterday's game, Jalen Brunson, when Asar Thompson was on him, 12 points, 36.5 field goal percentage, 26.6 from 3. When Asar is not guarding him or Asar is off, 21.2 points, 52% from the field, and 35% from 3. So Asar Thompson, definitely a difference maker. And I think we can all agree with Malik Beasley's tweet today that said, when you let a real defender play defense, like that's what happens. Asar Thompson, big time difference maker in this series.
Absolutely.
Anything else you guys? Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, his counterpart, I think Ron Holland should not see the floor anymore this series.
I was gonna ask that question. Does Ron Holland get minutes in Game 6? I wanted to say we were talking about how we're attacking Brunson. I think that's the main goal because Ron Holland has been told we've seen it during the game, slow down on the break. But the one time he did get to go full speed on the break yesterday was against Jalen Brunson, which tells me like if you see Brunson in front of you, just go for it. But yeah, I don't know if Ron Holland gets minutes in Game 6.
He just doesn't seem ready to me for these moments. Yeah, that's flat out it. He's a young rookie. Like don't expect him to be ready for this.
No, you don't. 19 years old. But I do think JB Bickerstaff does throw him in there for some energy if it's needed. But it'll probably be similar to what it was yesterday, just a couple minutes stint, and then that's it.
Yeah, I mean, he played 4 minutes last night. Do you just cut those, or do you replace it with a Fontecchio, which personally I would like to see?
Okay.
I don't think Tech is going to see. I mean, at this point, like there's been opportunities where Tech could have came in. Like if he's not played till now, I don't think that he's gonna pop in for a couple minutes in a win or go home Game 6. But I would say, I mean, it is sort of reliant on foul trouble and who picks up what. But I mean, I think in a perfect world, those minutes just go to more Toby or more Asar, honestly.
Hopefully it's more Asar. Does anyone know how many minutes Asar played in the fourth quarter yesterday?
Fourth quarter, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
He only played 29 for the whole game.
Yeah, and I think now I think we started to see it more with Cat and Tobias. I think we're going to see the same thing with Brunson and Asar. When Cat goes out, Toby comes out. When Brunson goes out, Asar comes out, and vice versa. When they come in, they come in. I think we're going to start seeing that a little bit more tomorrow, just to kind of keep, I mean, maybe Tobias plays a few extra minutes if he's got the stamina for it because he's been so effective in this series. But I'm curious to see if we do something similar to that. I also saw I don't remember who tweeted it, but someone was mentioning that if you have Jalen Brunson on a guy like Asar Thompson, put Asar Thompson in the dunker spot so that Asar Thompson can use his vertical spacing against a guy like Jalen Brunson who doesn't have much of a vertical spacing defense. So I'm curious to see if we do something like that as well as
I
putting
mean,
him.
that's what
more
we did
back.
last game, right?
Yep, exactly, and it paid off so much. I love the way, even though like you guys said, Cade wasn't himself yesterday shooting wise. I think he made a lot of good decisions. And he's been holding his own defensively as well. He's pretty active, even though he's not hitting his shots on the offensive end. So it'll be interesting to see if he can finally find that offensive groove and get to that game that we've kind of all been waiting for.
Yeah, and I think we see it in moments like I think game 5, game 4 now we see struggles in the first half and then we see explosions in the second half. And yesterday, I think the explosion came in the perfect time because it was the last 5 minutes of the game. He just kind of seemed to take it upon himself to make sure that the Pistons would win that basketball game. I love that coast to coast take he had between a few bodies. I love
That
that
was
three-pointer
amazing.
he hit. I thought
And that three that he hit too, there was a foul on, I believe it was Hart on the bump, and then he still just managed to step into a triple and hit it.
yeah. And then even though he didn't score, he technically got it blocked. He had another coast to coast take where 3 or 4 nick bodies. I don't know if Towns was the final one that got the piece on it. No one picked up Duran. That's what happens when Cade drives, all eyes on him. Easy one for Duran to follow up. And I thought that's what we're looking more from Cade. Don't be too passive in the stretch when it's time to win the game. You know, you're our franchise. You are the guy that's gonna theoretically take us to where we want to be. So take the shots. And I love the confidence after how game 4 ended. Just great to see. And like you said earlier in the pod, out clutch performed Jalen Brunson in this one, and that ultimately was the deciding factor in this one. So credit to Cade, came up big. That one floater he had too, really pretty shot just overall.
That was so pretty.
Huge fourth quarter, huge crunch time from him.
Yeah. I was gonna say one more thing on Cade. Does he look tired to you guys at all?
I think that's just kind of how he balls.
Okay,
Like he
that's
just
fair. I mean, I was just looking at his face when he was at the free throw line. Like, yeah, I was just curious if you guys saw something that I didn't see.
Cade?
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, I think it's reflected a lot in his 3-point shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Just pulling a lot of balls short, having some trouble with that three. I think that just is heavy legs. I mean, like the load is definitely increased on him in these playoffs. How much defense he has to go through, possession in, possession out. I think it has taken a little bit out of him.
And just the amount of games, right? I mean, we're playing like almost every other night now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is an advantage for the
OG's a
Pistons,
strong
though.
guy. OG has impressed me with his like one-on-one defense on Cade, honestly. He's been
Yeah.
reaching a lot and slapping a lot, but he's strong and he's quick. Yeah.
Man, you know who hasn't impressed me? Mikal Bridges, man.
He's kind of
Oh no.
I mean, he had a nice three there to end, like where him and OG hit threes to scare us at the end of that game. But man, am I happy when that dude gets the rock? Because like, I don't know. I don't know what they were. I guess they were thinking like just the vibes would be that good when you have all these college friends together. But what an insane amount of capital to give up for a role player.
If the Knicks lose this series, I think it can be attributed to the thing that we talked about and something that we needed to look forward to in this series is head coaches making adjustments from game to, and not only in game but game to game. And I was gonna say this when we talked about it a minute ago, but Gabe, you said before we got on, like when I asked like what do you guys want to talk about, and we talked about how it's more of the same. It feels it's such an interesting series because the first half is always the dogfight, right? It's back and forth, trading buckets, trading slumps, just stay afloat, stay close. Third quarter, most of this series has been all Pistons, and then you get to the fourth quarter, and it starts off with either the Knicks just turning up the intensity and forcing 5-second violations, shot clock violations, or the Knicks just take over and the Pistons have to weather the storm in the fourth quarter. So I don't see any reason why games 6 and potentially game 7 are going to be any different. But if the Knicks lose this series, I'm going to attribute it to Tom Thibodeau not making an adjustment. Like, you have Tim Hardaway Jr. on McCall Bridges 90% of this series. And I feel like that's something that most teams would probably try to exploit. But every time it's Jalen Brunson gets the ball, dribbles it till like 14, 13, 12 on the shot clock, and then either does his thing, whips his head back, gets a foul, or you're going to get Cat trying to post up Tobias Harris and work him down from the 3-point line. And honestly, like you said, Connie, when McCall gets the ball, you're happy. I'm happy when Cat gets the ball at the 3-point line and tries to work against Tobias.
Oh yeah. Big time.
Big time.
So we're down 3-2 now, coming off a win, coming back home.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't won a home playoff game in what 20
18
years,
years.
whatever. Yeah. What's it gonna take to win this game 6 tomorrow? Is it just hot shooting and not making mistakes? Is it that simple?
I think it is a lot similar to what we saw today.
Yeah.
It is just like solving the defense, making the right passes when the pressure comes for Cade, and then again, just like it is intensity is I think the key to this series. Like Pistons were on it from they were on and like they were playing incredibly hard. Like when they had the small lineups and they weren't getting eaten up on the boards, it's because they're playing incredibly hard. Tobias Harris was playing his freaking heart out, and that's what you got to do. I think that's what it's going to come down to. I've kind of given up on getting a good shooting game. I just don't think it's going to happen. Like at this point, I mean, if it happens, I think we win handily, but like they are just going to go 7 for 27 from deep, and it is about how many rebounds are you going to grab, how many turnovers are you going to force, shots are you going to block, how many shots can you get around the rim. Though now that I say that, I almost want to backtrack it almost instantly, because if we're talking about adjustments, the Knicks have to adjust for that Cade Duren pick and roll with the drop off pass to Asar. And is that going to be more pressure down low, which would open up more shooters? Somebody's got a hand up over there.
I mean, then you're putting pressure on guys like whoever else is out there, whether it's Toby and Tim or it's Malik and maybe Ron, to actually hit shots.
It won't be Ron, but yeah, I mean Malik, Tim Hardaway, Schroeder, Harris, those guys.
The best 3-point shooter in this series has probably been Dennis Schroeder for us.
Yeah,
I think Tim Hardaway is more likely to have a good game than Malik, just because I think Tim is getting good looks. They're just not going down right now.
Yeah, I mean, he looks tired too. There was one yesterday where he brought the ball up the floor and like told his guy to like just clear out and set a screen, and then he fired it from like deeper on the right wing and just was like completely short.
I thought the kind of adjustment you talked about, there's like a microcosm of that where we scored like twice in a row off that. They called timeout. Coming out of the timeout, they play Cade ISO and he just gets to the paint like 3 times in a row. He missed a few of the layups, but I think I call the big Cade game for this game wasn't necessarily true. If they do want to take away everyone else and play the old Jokic strategy, like go get yours, see if you can carry. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens and Cade is a little more efficient at the rim, gets a 3-pointer to fall, hopefully. So I'm gonna predict another big Cade game, game 6, because of them being scared. And another thing of guys we like to take shots. Deuce McBride played 20 minutes last night.
Love that.
Anything he puts up is a brick. You just got to box out Mitchell Robinson when he's on the court.
Really, I think Deuce is a bucket. I feel like every shot he's taken has been good, except those 2 free throws yesterday.
I think not counting Campaign and Ron Holland, he's definitely the worst player on the court. I don't think he should be on the court.
Really?
The Knicks don't have. He hits prayers. I feel like he only hits those like threes, or he just like banks it in at the end of the shot clock. He had one nice take past Tobias, but I don't think he's a very good player. So I'd be happy. Anyway, point is, I think we should take everything out of like kind of opposite of what they do, where they say let Cade try. I say we don't let Brunson and Cat try. Double team those guys and let anyone else try to beat us.
Beat you, yeah, and that would work.
It worked.
The most Cade friendly defense we've seen all series was game 2, and we haven't seen it since, which is basically where they just stuck to the shooters, let Cade go one-on-one with almost anybody. Cade attacked out of the pick and roll right away. He's kind of done that in games 3, 4, and 5, but I don't think we're going to see the same game 2 defense that he ever saw again in this series. So it's going to be on Cade to, dig deep and find a way to get to his shots. I mean, maybe if we do run that small lineup, there's more likely a time where we are allowed to have Cade go one-on-one, because I think we can all agree, let Cade go one-on-one with anybody, and we're confident.
Yep.
Anything else you guys want to touch on? All right. Well,
What game?
yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Buff Sound Podcast. We're going to try to review every single game moving forward. So optimism says we will come at you after game 6 and after game 7. But until tomorrow night, the Pistons play the Knicks one more time at LCA. Hopefully the Pistons are going to need to snap an 18-year streak of losses at home in the playoffs in order to keep this series going. So until after that, throw the Buffs on Detroit, because the future is bright.